So I believe we are good, and I think we are live. I'm just gonna double check here on my phone, but if we are good, then we should be live here over on Suns Digest. Let me just double check this real quick. If you're in the comment section and you guys are here, drop a comment down below if you are in the chat so that we do know that the stream is live. But let's see. Yep, it is live. So, everyone, welcome back to another live stream here on Suns Digest. I'm Bruce Velez. We had a fantastic inaugural stream last week, which was absolutely fantastic, and you guys were absolutely special in that as well. Dropping down comments, letting us know your thoughts. And today's stream, it's going to be a little bit different. Over the last stream, we were breaking down some of the Suns' last week's struggles and looking forward to this week upcoming. And we're going to be doing that as well. We're also going to be looking at this big trade that the Suns performed and looking at some other possible moves that the Suns could be looking at as well as they gear up for their contest, obviously, tonight, where they'll be playing versus the Washington Wizards, and then they gear up for their game on Saturday versus the Detroit Pistons. And I want to let you guys know now, before we get into anything, that on Saturday I will not be able to do a post game video because I will be away. So Saturday there will be no uploads on the channel coming from me. But I just wanted to give you a heads up. And Corey says we are live. So what's up, Corey? How we doing? Like I said, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. How you guys are doing, Suns fans. But we are back with another live stream here. Once again, like I mentioned, we're going to go into a lot of details revolving around this Suns team. Like I mentioned, we're going to be going over the trade that happened yesterday with sending Josh Okogie for Nick Richards. Was this the right move? Was this a big move for the Suns? Are there any more moves that the Suns could be looking to make in the future as the trade deadline is continuing to loom closer to us? We'll also then prepare by looking back at these Suns games and looking at why the move for Nick Richards was so necessary and why the Suns wasted no time with Josh Okogie's contract deadline before shipping him out. And then we'll also be looking at some more stuff revolving around this Suns team as well as we look forward towards the future. Big Merc's in here as well. What's up, Big Merc? How we doing? We'll let some people pour in and get in here. I know it is in the afternoon time for you guys over in the Phoenix area, so it might be not the best time. Some people might still be at work, but I do hope that you guys are enjoying yourself and hanging out. But without further ado, let's dive in and let's get into this stream. Like I was saying, and like I was breaking down earlier, the Suns made a big trade, and we went over this on the channel already. We had a video giving our initial reaction to the Nick Richards trade, and then we also did a video today going a little bit more into detail, explaining the truth revealed behind this move and why the Phoenix Suns went out and do so. But like we mentioned, Shams Charania broke this news for us as we saw yesterday afternoon. The Charlotte Hornets are trading 7-foot center Nick Richards, who had already been in talks with multiple other teams, but specifically with this Suns squad, and 1 second-round pick to the Phoenix Suns for Josh Okogie and 3 second-round picks. And obviously, this was a move that had been in kind of talks. I know some people like D Hottest or D Coldest, excuse me, and I know my guy John Voita, the managing editor for Bright Side of the Sun, both confirmed that the Suns were exploring deals with Josh Okogie before his contract deadline. And yesterday, obviously, was his deadline, January 15th. And at 4:44 p.m., the Suns wasted Eastern time. The Suns wasted no time, 1:42 or 2 o'clock. No time to go out and do that move and to secure a player in Nick Richards, who is going to be a big X factor for this team defensively. Like I mentioned, with this Suns squad, we have seen them struggle, and we're going to look back at these games from last week as well. On the offensive glass, on the defensive glass, letting second chance points come up, and that's what really has hindered this team. I'm sorry I messed that up. I actually hit my face off, but we are back. Let's dive in and let's look at the Suns last week, because like I mentioned, the Phoenix Suns needed a move for Nick Richards as they were lacking inside. Let's see. Let's pull this on ESPN. Love when I type in Phoenix Suns Bright Side pops up. Perfect, perfect. Shout out to Bright Side. Plug in Bright Side always. But like I said, look at this Suns team. Obviously, they got their game up against the Wizards this week. But if we look at the Suns' recent performances here, they went on a little bit of a 3-game win streak, which was nice to see as fans, as this is something we weren't really used to. And Suns fans were very, very happy with this. But even in this Hornets game here, where the Suns were able to come back and win victoriously, as you can tell, they were down, then tied at halftime, then down once again, but clawed back in the fourth quarter. And right here, as we can see, if we want to look at the team stats here, this is why the Suns went and got a player in Josh Okogie. Or, excuse me, got rid of a player in Josh Okogie and got a player in Nick Richards. Look at the rebounds here. 52 to 39. That cannot be happening. And if we want to even look back at the game where they lost versus the Hawks, 54 to 37. That cannot be happening, folks. The Phoenix Suns cannot be having games where their opponents are out rebounding them this much. And it cost the Suns as well because we saw guys like Mark Williams in that Hornets game. And like I'll show you right now, Onyeka Okongwu for the Atlanta Hawks get 20 games on us. 21 rebounds, 22 points, 10 defensive rebounds, 10 offensive rebounds. Let's look at and see how many the Suns had as a team. 6. 6. The Suns had 6 offensive rebounds by themselves. And Onyeka Okongwu Onyeka Okongwu by himself got more offensive rebounds than the whole Suns team did. That is like I'm going to show you. It was a needed move for the Suns here, ladies and gentlemen. They had to go out and get a guy at that center position. With Jusuf Nurkic coming off the bench and now having these DNPs and now having this illness, the Suns lacked in that rebounding category. And I said that if the Suns replaced a guy like Jusuf Nurkic, they could replace that rebounding. But ultimately, with taking him out of the roster and filling not that hole, it left them with an even bigger one in the rebounding category, which made them address that move, which allowed the Phoenix Suns to keep their pursuit for Josh Okogie. We all know they tried to get rid of a guy in Jusuf Nurkic. The reports were that the Hornets did not want Jusuf Nurkic's contract, no matter how much draft capital the Suns attached to it, which just goes to show you how much of a net negative asset Jusuf Nurkic is around the league and how worried the Suns are that they are strapped to this contract. Ultimately, for me, I think with a guy like Jusuf Nurkic, the Suns are going to be forced to hold on to his contract for this season, as next year he becomes a free agent, and I do believe he will become a more readily available trade asset for the Phoenix Suns, and more teams will be willing to take on that contract. The Suns will also have some more flexibility with their draft capital that they could use an extra pick to use Jusuf Nurkic's contract, because as it stands right now, the Phoenix Suns are kind of strapped with that salary cap. And as we all know, and as we've broken down in previous videos, they're in the second apron, and the draft capital that they have now is 1 second-round pick and 1 first-round pick. The 2031 first that's their own, and the 2025 Denver second. And that ultimately leads to even more questions with this Sun team. What other moves are they going to do? Because we all know that Nick Richards doesn't solve all the issues. Yes, he might have filled in that center gap. Yes, he might be able to bring in some defensive impact in the center rotation. He can be a big body to go up against some of these other centers. He's a low tier starting center. He can be a starting caliber center. He's not going to be an a dominating one, but he can be a very impactful one. And I truly believe that's what his role is going to be with Phoenix. But now the question remains is, what do they do with Nurkic? Are they going to still try to unload his contract? Are they going to bring him back and have him play backup minutes? And if they even do that, then what happens to Oso and Mason's minutes? Do they get split? Do one of them possibly lose out of the rotation? And if one of them is thrown out of the rotation, then why do we even have them if it's Mason Plumlee in my eyes? Those are ultimately questions that I think are going to be starting to bring up about this Phoenix Suns team, and I think that is what's going to be leading us into with the next couple of weeks as the Suns explore some other trade possibilities, possibly throwing the names of guys like possibly Grayson Allen, maybe Tyus Jones, Monte Morris out on the trade block to see what they can get either for draft capital or other pieces to help fill out this roster. Like I've broken down on this channel and like I've seen in the comment section as well, we all recognize that this Suns team is filled with a bunch of the same type of archetypes. We see an abundance of guards on this roster, with mainly Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, Tyus Jones, Monte Morris, Josh Okogie was considered a guard, Grayson Allen. That is already 6 guards that I named, and I didn't even mention Damian Lee, who also can play the guard position, even though he doesn't really play. And that limits this Suns team in having other guys that can play other roles. A comment that I see in our comment section a bunch that I 100% agree on is the Suns need an athletic four, a defensive four, a type of guy that can play down low. And I personally think like a guy like Obi Toppin. I don't know if Obi Toppin's available because he's on the Pacers and they are a pretty solid team and he's a good fit in with their culture. But maybe a guy like Obi Toppin or show shades of Obi Toppin in the draft the Suns could upcoming this season the Suns could pursue, or if they see on the market a young guy with potential that plays a similar role or they feel can play a role similar to Obi Toppin for this team, maybe they go and pursue that guy to bring him in to the squad. That's ultimately what I think the Suns should do. But I want to know your guys' thoughts. So drop down some comments. We're going to go over some right now as I just kind of wanted to get into the stream, kind of talk about some stuff, get some topics out before so we can get underway. And you guys have been filing in. We got 42 people currently in the stream, which is absolutely fantastic and courtesy of 6 likes. So if you guys are in the stream and you guys are enjoying it, make sure to hit that like button. Let's try to get that like button up to 10. But we got some comments, so we're going to say what's up to everybody. Dagoon is in here. He said Jo couldn't break the rotation. He will play in Charlotte. Good for him. I think Jo could crack the rotation. We did see some spurts where he was playing, and he was an effective defender, hustle guy, energy guy, and I don't want that to be missed with Jo. I recently wrote a little bit of piece for Brightside, which should be published hopefully soon. But when that gets pushed in, I want you, if you guys want to check it out, I kind of talked about how Jo obviously brings the hustle, the energy. That's what his definition of was for this team, and we're still lacking that still. Even with having a guy like Ryan Dunn who can provide that, we still need that extra amp. And I think that the Suns could pursue a guy like that on the market, possibly. But Jo was very solid. Sometimes he couldn't crack the rotation, and he was very needed in this Atlanta Hawks game that we were just breaking down. But they did not play him, obviously, as they wanted him not to get hurt, as they were obviously in trade talks discussing about him. So that obviously makes sense. But Jo, in the games that he was playing for this team, I remember the game versus Sacramento where he was a big impact. Got his season high in points and a career high in offensive rebounds. And those are key things you like to see out of Josh Okogie. I'm wishing him nothing but the best of luck over in Charlotte. And I think he plays similar type of a role to a guy like Josh Green, kind of Cody Martin, and I think that he could either compete with those guys and play similar roles with them to help boost that culture in Charlotte, or if not, maybe he could be one of those guys to replace one of them, and one of those guys could be on the move for Charlotte, looking to move off some salary. But if you guys got any questions, any thoughts, let them know down below in the comment section. Big Merc is here as well. What's up, Big Merc? Shout out to one of my OGs. I respect my OGs over here. I don't know where King Nacho is. Hopefully he's in here. But King Nacho and Big Merc, and James as well. 3 of the OGs that are here. But he says, now I'd like to see if we can shop Nurk Daddy. I'm hoping so too, Big Merc. I'm hoping we can get off of Nurkic. I think it's going to be difficult. I don't know necessarily if it's going to be this season due to the fact that the Suns don't have that much draft capital to use to move off of his big contract. And he already has another year as well. Dagoon says, good news is we didn't trade Nurk for a center, opens up more doors. And that's a thing as well that I think a lot of Suns fans are looking at as optimism as well, Dagoon, is that even if you have Nurkic now, most fans were mad at him because he was starting. But Yusuf Nurkic at this point of his career is a backup center. And I personally think that. His contract doesn't reflect that, but his play style represents a backup center. So I ultimately believe that if we do add Nick Richards to this lineup and Nurk does come back and Nurk is willing to take that bench role, not really be salty about it, be able to go through with the benching, then I don't have a problem with having Nurkic at the backup at all. Yes, would I like to see him get removed just so that we could kind of get away from the mess? 100%. But if he's not movable, if he could play 15 minutes a night with Nick Richards being able to fill in for Nurkic doing what he couldn't do, catch passes and actually make layups, throw some lobs, rim protect and block some big key shots while also still being an ample rebounder, I think the Suns will be fine. And then you can throw in Oso if you want to look at him with a little bit more of an offensive approach. We know that he kind of lacks size and physicality more, and that's what's hindering from him to getting bigger role with this Suns team. And that's where Mason kind of comes in, and that's where they kind of overlap each other very well. And that's where I think if the Suns had a capable Nurkic or had a center that was playing like a top 12, top 15 type center, the Suns would be okay running a backup big lineup with Oso and Mason, kind of interchanging them and kind of using them depending on what the weakness was, depending on their matchup. But ultimately, I think with this Suns team now, it gives them so much more depth that maybe excuse me, a look for a guy like Duop Reith isn't necessarily the big move now, but I still think the Suns could still do that as well. Possibly give up a guy in Bol Bol. I know a lot of Suns fans love, but I ultimately want to see Bol Bol play, and I think if he went to the Blazers, he'd get that opportunity. We got a comment from Mello Moreno saying, let's get this W tonight, Suns. Yes, sir, Mello. I agree as well. And we'll get into more about what Nick Richards can do for this Suns team. Looking forward into some of the matchups, specifically versus the Wizards tonight, as they have a big man on their market and Jonas Valanciunas, who could possibly, on their team, excuse me, who could possibly be on the trade market, but also have a little bit of a younger, weaker, inexperienced team inside. So maybe the Suns could prioritize that and enforcing for Nick Richards to dominate versus the Pistons. Phoenix Suns number one fan says, what's up, Bruce? What's up, Phoenix Suns number one fan? How we doing tonight? Glad you're in the stream. You're popping out. Crampy is in here as well. Nick Rich, great pickup. I agree, Crampy. Thank you for pulling through for this stream. I really do appreciate it, my brother. Lucas McQueen says, do you think we will get Jimmy Butler? This is the age-old question with this Suns team, and ultimately, I think it's been exaggerated and talked about too much at this point. I think that the Suns are, like I said, the top team that Jimmy Butler wants to go to. They have basically the contract to get rid of. The difficulty in all of this is finding someone to take Bradley Beal's contract, where Bradley Beal wants to go to, and then also finding a team that's willing to give up a package that Miami is also willing to take back for Jimmy Butler. Those two seem to be the roadblocks which have kind of hindered this thing. Now, I expect we'll get more news kind of stuff coming out over the next couple of weeks, but at this rate, I would say that the Suns most likely will still try to pursue a trade for Jimmy Butler due to the fact that they want him on this team. Matt Ishbia wants to win a championship, and running Bradley Beal off the bench at this point, I still think isn't the best fixture, and I still think that kind of changing this roster and getting rid of the players who have kind of been replaced in the starting lineup, seemingly to say, is necessary. But ultimately, if they don't get it done, I would not be shocked. I will say, I'll give it a 60% chance that they get Jimmy Butler just because of how much Matt Ishbia and Jimmy Butler want to get it done. But I'm not going to bank on it. And I'm less confident as the days go on. Oh, was my day today? It was actually really good today. Did some videos, did some writing as well, and then now I'm doing the stream, popping out, and then we got the Suns game tonight, which we're obviously going to be watching. Tips off in right under an hour for here for all of us. We're gonna watch the Suns. We're not gonna watch on stream, but I'm gonna watch the Suns game. I'm sure you all are gonna watch the Suns game, and then we'll have a post game video coming up right after breaking down what happened and possibly what went right or possibly went wrong versus the Wizards team. Now, this Wizards squad, we have faced a lot of weakened Eastern opponents in the last couple of days. Teams like the Hornets, teams like the Hawks. But the Wizards. They're the Wizards, guys. The Wizards, in my opinion, even though they are bad, they are not at even that level of bad. They are a lot worse. So hopefully, the Suns can still take care of business, even without Nick Richards. What's up, Valley Boys? He's from Paris, France. Oh, hey, okay. We're all worldwide. We're worldwide here on Suns Digest, and that is absolutely fantastic. What's up, Valley Boys? Suns need balls. Oh, I'm okay. Yo, Bruce, do you think we could get Zach LaVine if he gets traded? Now, Zach LaVine is a little bit more of a complex thing, in my opinion. I don't think a player like Zach LaVine really fits in with this Suns team. He would provide some offensive output for sure. He's a little bit bigger at size, but I still think it falls into the three kind of guard positions. Like LaVine can play small forward, but I kind of view him as a shooting guard, and I'm not really liking it. He needs the ball in his hands as well. For the Suns, if they're gonna look for on the market another star to bring in, they need a complementary star. That's what they need because clearly Devin Booker and Bradley Beal are those two guys that have the ball in their hand. Or not Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant and Devin Booker are the two guys that have the ball in their hands. Excuse me. They're the guys that are this number one and number two option, and they're the two stars of this team, right? So as we see with this Sun squad, with the three guard lineups, with running Bradley Beal, with this team with Tyus Jones, with with obviously seeing Tyus and Booker just together, we have seen that the guards and the defense with the guards hasn't been that great. And the Suns need some added defensive pressure. And a complementary piece to that pressure would be, a wing type player. Jimmy Butler, I think, fits the mold perfectly because he does exactly what Phoenix wants. He's a guy that's going to come in. He's going to be a vocal leader. He's going to kind of command the locker room. He's obviously a top tier player who's played with other stars in other situations across the league, but also, has been to the finals recently twice with the Miami Heat team. And playing with this Suns team, it's going to be a better squad than he's played with one of those Heat teams. So he's going to come in and respect that. He's also playing with a great and Kevin Durant, which he's also going to value another veteran playing alongside Devin Booker. And he literally plugs and plays for what the Suns need: defense and on-ball pressure. That's what they are requiring to go up against some of these other stars. You look at this Suns squad. Who is going to match up against some of these opposing teams' top players? You have Booker, you have Durant, but we don't have that all-out lockdown defender. We don't have that all-out beast for us on the defensive side, or a cohesive defensive unit as a team to even pick up for that. And ultimately, I think that's why the Suns are so interested in Jimmy Butler, for the fact that he brings all of that with some star power as well, with some experience of being to the finals in recent years. And that's something that not only Kevin Durant and Devin Booker would love to have, but Matt Ishbia would also love to have in the locker room to kind of bring some of these other guys together, like Ryan Dunn, like Oscar Godard, to bring out those rookies, to bring out some of these role players to their best potential. And Jimmy Butler is a type of guy who definitely does that. But ultimately, with Jimmy Butler and all of that, like I mentioned, the pursuit for him is the hardest thing to get, as we all know. It's Miami doesn't want to give him up for nothing. What does Miami necessarily want? They don't want Bradley Beal. We only have to give up Bradley Beal. That's what makes it a little bit tough. But even if the Suns don't go out and get Butler and don't pursue Butler, I still think they need to address those holes. And guys like Grayson Allen and guys like Tyus Jones, possibly Monte Morris, could have to be expendable on this roster just because Yusuf Nurkic's contract isn't tradable for the Suns to get any value of assets to bring in some other role players and other types. Like I mentioned, I still think the Suns are going to need another defensive guard slash another wing on this team for that bench unit to kind of fill in that energy that Okogie really brought. I still think that the Suns could possibly use some shooting in that big man group as well. We know Nick Richards is a solid rebounder, impactor, interior defender, lob threat, but is he the best shooter? Not necessarily. So I do believe, obviously, going out in getting a player in Duop Reith could still solve some of the Suns' problems in that three-point shooting in the front court and could give Mike Budenholzer another tool to play with in his toolbox in that center court, which in that front court, which has obviously been one of the main areas of concern. I also, like I said, think the Suns could maybe go out and get some smaller guys out on the market with Grayson Allen's contract or trading Tyus Jones' contract for some picks to then use to move off Yusuf Nurkic to then get some other interior defenders and stuff like that, even if they don't pursue Jimmy Butler. And I think that could be a little bit of a minor solution for now. Ultimately, I do still think the Suns will make moves. I still think Matt Ishbia and James Jones will be on the phones. Maybe not as aggressive as we saw them to pursue Nick Richards, all due for the fact that they needed that impact rebounder and rim protector at this very moment. But I do believe that they will be looking to acquire Butler still. All right, let's look at the chat here. Oh, hit the wrong button. Accidentally hit my screen. Sorry. But I'm going to pull up the chat here. Take a sip of my drink. And then we'll get into it. Let me know what you guys are thinking else as well down below in the comment section. If you have any thoughts or comments or want to break down anything about this team, would you be surprised if he does? Or what if would I be surprised if Zach LaVine got to the Suns? Yes, that is something that I would not be predicting. Who is the best fit for Beal trade in your opinion? I think it's Detroit. Detroit has obviously lost Jaden Ivey for a little bit and a little bit of offense production Beal could be another shooter or scorer to fill in for that team. I think Brooklyn wouldn't be bad either if you wanted to go be a number one option there, but I don't necessarily know if Beal wants to go to. It all depends on where he wants to go. It's not necessarily where the Suns want to send him. Beal gets traded, in your opinion? Yeah, I think I just answered that, right? Yeah, Beal just got traded. Who is the best fit? If Beal gets traded, in your opinion, who's the best trade for? Who is the best trade for him? I think it would be Butler. I think that's the only thing you would realistically be able to get. I don't think any other teams across the league are trading their superstars. And for the Suns, who are a second apron team, they can only acquire so much as they send out. So therefore, they can't aggregate salaries or go in all in to get someone else or something like that. I think it's kind of really um, swing or miss with Butler here. And then after that, it's kind of looking at some other stuff. But now that we've talked about some trade stuff, now that we've talked about Jimmy Butler, kind of gone into all of that, went over the Nick Richards stuff, let's look at the Suns going into tonight. As we all know, pull this up here. The Suns are taking on the Washington Wizards tonight on the road. And if we want to look at Gamecast, we can get a little bit of a breakdown here. The Suns are 12-point favorites, 11.5 to be exact. Over here, 10.5, a little bit weird. We want to look down at the injury report for the Suns. We all know Yusuf Nurkic. He is out with the illness. Nick Richards is also out as well. And Bradley Beal was rumored to be was questionable or doubtful going into tonight's contest. He was officially ruled out after he recently re-injured himself in the game versus the Atlanta Hawks. Now, one player that is not on this list to be noted is Grayson Allen, which is very solid. For the Wizards, they are going to be without three players. Sadiq Bey, who obviously has out with a torn ACL. He is not going to return till halfway through the season, if not possibly till next year. Malcolm Brogdon is also out. He has been an impactful point guard for them and could be a tradable asset out on the trade market. And then Marvin Bagley as well. He could be another tradable asset, could be another interior presence as well. He is also out as well. So the Suns are going up against a Wizards team that is without one of their interior defenders, and with the Suns not having Richards or Nurkic, that is very good. I expect Mason to get the start once again tonight with the starting five, but also expect Oso Ighodaro to close out the game for the Phoenix Suns here. Now, with this Suns team, they are now once again under 500, sitting here at 19 and 20, and are also under 500 on the road as they are 6 and 12 away. Now, obviously the Wizards are 6 and 32, so the Suns should win this game. They should take care of business even without their two big star centers. Devin Booker, Kevin Durant are absolutely going to outclass some of these players on the Wizards. But the Wizards do have some guys that have been pretty solid this year. Got to give credit to second-year player Bilal Coulibaly as he has been a standout wing for them. You also got to give credit to Jordan Poole, who's been able to rebound and vitalize his career. And rookie Alex Sarr, to start off the year, wasn't the greatest, but has been able to quietly build up a nice campaign for himself, as he is obviously one of the names that isn't one of the flashiest as he's in Washington, but he has been an impactful player for them. And I do think that the Wizards obviously will show some life in this game, but the Phoenix Suns should take care of them. And if the Phoenix Suns lose this game, if some chance they lose to the Washington Wizards, this post game that you watch tonight, I let you know, ladies and gentlemen, will be a rage fest, because that would be absolutely unacceptable if a team like the Phoenix Suns lost to the Wizards. And regardless if they have no Bradley Beal or anything like that, that's a true panic. What are we doing? We need to make some shocking move right now, because that would be a big, big no. We shouldn't say should we got beat by the Hornets. Well, we should have beat the Hornets as well, but the Hornets game, like I said, was a loss, and they did come back versus them on the second time. Anything is unexpected. Anything is unexpected with this team. Would be better fit if who would be a better fit for the Suns if not Butler? Well, it all depends on what you're giving up. If you're giving up a player in Grayson Allen, I believe, makes 15 to my, yeah, 15,62.5. Okay. So let me pull this up real quick. NBA contracts, player contracts. Here we are. Where's 15? Where are you, my boy? Okay, I found him. Perfect. Okay. So, here, ladies and gentlemen, is basketball reference. So, basketball reference has every contract listed for everybody. So, as you can see, Grayson Allen this year is the 109th contract this season, where he's making $15 million. So, for the Suns, if they were able to do a deal, we would have to try to get someone to replace, obviously, Allen and look for shooting. Washington's not movable. Strus isn't movable. Can I move this up? Oh, I can. Awesome. Perfect. Strus, not movable. Stewart, possible. Finney Smith just got traded. Mitchell Robinson, I don't want. He's injured. Clarkson has been shooting decently this season, but has been streaky, worse than Allen. Kongwu, not movable. Nasri, not movable. Cade, not movable. Gafford, not movable. Grant Williams out for the year. Schroeder not tradable, or Schroeder is tradable. We don't need another guard. Isaiah Joe, I don't see him getting traded to Phoenix. I don't see him getting reworked. Herbert Jones would be a piece that if I were the Suns, I would be all over, but plays a very similar role to Ryan Dunn. I think Ryan Dunn can be what Herb Jones for the Pelicans is, and I don't see the Pelicans moving off of Herb Jones. Austin Reeves, nope. Obi Toppin, he's another one. Like I was saying, this is a player that I really, really like. I think the Suns could go out and get, kind of bring in. Kelly Olynyk wouldn't be bad to add some versatile shooting to the front court, but like I said, if you're getting Kelly Olynyk, then you have to be moving off of Nurkic's contract. Like you have to be getting rid of that. We can't have that many expensive centers on the roster. Um, Vic, no. Josh Green, we already just did a deal with them. Rashawn Holmes, not interested. Steven Adams, not interested. Bobby Porter. So, like I said, there's obviously a lot more names that we could scroll through. Robert Williams is another guy that we've kind of talked about and have liked, but Aaron Neesmith wouldn't be bad, but he's not movable. Boucher wouldn't be bad, but I'm not giving up Allen for Boucher. Like it's very tricky to kind of look. I feel like for Allen, I feel like for now, the Suns kind of have to do something, and maybe Butler is it. I don't know. I don't know. Let me see. See with the cap. If you give up Beal and Katie, I'm not giving up Katie. You're not giving up. We're not giving up Katie. Katie and Book want to play together. I am not selling out on Katie or Book. I want both of them here for this year and for next year. Looks like Beal, Nurkic, and Richards aren't playing today. Yep, unfortunately, yes, that is the case. Beal is out now. Nurkic is obviously dealing with the illness. Nurkic didn't even travel with the team, so he is not going to be playing in. I believe their road trip obviously started with their game versus Atlanta. So that was their start of their 5 game road trip. So they have 3 more games. So after this one, and counting Saturdays as well. So yeah, 2 games into next week, and then we'll see possibly if Nurk even returns or if Nurk's even on the roster at that point. There's still a lot of time before Nurk is even on this Suns roster, healthy and ready, or even back from this illness when the team, or ready to play for the team when they're back, that he might not even be on the team. And Richards is not playing today, unfortunately, but we did see updates from Coach Mike Budenholzer, which I can pull up here on Twitter for all of you, courtesy of your boy Dwayne Rankin, as we all know. He is absolutely fantastic covering this Phoenix Suns team for the Arizona Republic. But let's get into that. Where I did not. I guess I didn't. I know I did retweet. I retweeted it. I know I did. Pull out. Here we go. When asked about when Mike Budenholzer was asked about Nick Richards joining the team tomorrow in Detroit, he said Suns head coach Mike Budenholzer, expects Nick Richards will join the team in Detroit tomorrow. And when asked if Richards will play on Saturday versus the Pistons, Budenholzer said we will see how it goes between now and then, but my guess is yes. So I said this in my video earlier today as well. I did not expect him obviously to play today, as he had to go through obviously the health stuff to get the trade actually approved, and then obviously he's got to go from Charlotte to Atlanta's not that far. Washington's pretty close too, but obviously probably wants to say goodbye to his teammates, get his family ready, kind of take care of all of that type of stuff. So I don't blame a guy in Nick Richards for not getting with the team till Saturday. Takes some time to get over everything and get with obviously with his new team for the new weekend and to be ready to go. But like I said, Nick Richards expecting to be with the team tomorrow. That is some great news as well. We got one from King Paw 42, who brings up a very, very talked about argument in the Suns stratosphere, and something that we can get into discussion here right now as well, which he says we need to use Bull a bit more. And Suns fans, I want to know your thoughts down below in the comment section. So let me know what you guys ultimately feel about Bull right now as we get into this kind of topic, because he's been a topic of discussion for this team for a while, like I mentioned. He re signed the contract with this Phoenix Suns team, obviously, came back for another stint with the Suns, and with that kind of being the case, we expected Bull was going to get an increase in playing time, was going to have the opportunity to find a role with this team. And unfortunately for Suns fans like myself and you, we have yet to see this happen with Bull this season. And it's been a very, very difficult thing for all of us to kind of to grasp as fans, as we all want to see Bull succeed. He's gotten 1,000 points already. Like he's proven to us that he can look good in some stints, but hasn't been able to hold himself on the court 100%. And even in nights where the Suns are struggling and allowing guys like Mark Williams and Onyeka Okongwu to get double or back-to-back 2020 games versus us, the Suns still fail to play a guy on Bull. And the last time that Bull did suit up for this Suns team, it was versus the Indiana Pacers, where he got some meaningful minutes. And he was very impactful in that game, getting some big blocks, looking good from making shots. And I'm just kind of perplexed, confused why a guy like Bull doesn't get more playing time. It might be due to the fact that maybe Budenholzer doesn't know if he's a power forward or if he is a true center. And if he is a true center and that's what he's viewed as, obviously his frame, obviously being very skinny doesn't give him that, but kind of limits him in that regard. But I ultimately still believe that a guy like Bull should be getting that run and should be getting that opportunity, specifically when the Suns have guys that are out in the center position. And I'm a little bit frustrated at myself, and that's why I've kind of really accepted the fact of just sending him to Portland, guys. Just as much as it would pain most of us to have a guy like Bull not play on our team anymore, wouldn't you rather see him get that development, see him get that playing time, seeing him get that opportunity? I'm not going to say Portland is 100% going to give him that opportunity and that shine, because they do have a lot of people in their front court as well, right? They obviously would be trading us Duop Reith, taking him out. But Bull plays that power forward position. And if you think kind of that power forward position over in Portland, to my knowledge, one guy that screams out to me is Jeremy Grant. But then after that, it's what? Chris Murray? I know Tumani Kamara's over there, but I'm pretty sure he plays small forward. For other power forwards on their roster, I don't really know that many. So I think like a guy like Bull could get that opportunity, get that shine, get that fight to be the backup power forward, or even get the chance to try to be. And that's something that us Suns fans would at least want to see. Even if it was on another team, that's something that I personally, as an NBA fan, would love to see, because I want the best for all these players. I don't care if another player succeeds on another team because he needs that role, needs that experience to really unlock himself. If that truly what brings out the best of the player, that's all what we are wishing for as NBA fans, is to see the best product, to see everyone grow, get to live their real life dream, and that's what I want to see at the NBA level. And I think a guy like Duop Reith is also just another, like I said, plug and play guy. Can be a shooting big for this unit, can grab rebounds, is Australian as well, to my knowledge, which a lot of the Australian people are Suns fans, as I know from our comment section. So I think it would be a win-win for the fan base, for Duop Reith, as He was really solid last year for the Blazers, but unfortunately has just fallen out of their rotation this year with Donovan Clingan being solid as their rookie, Robert Williams being healthy, and with them having deal with Aiton's dominating as well. Duop Breeze kind of falls short, and for the Suns, even if he is just a little bit of a plug and play piece on the side, at least he'd get used. At least he'd get to show his skill set. Wait, so Nurk is back from his suspension from the fight? I haven't seen the game in a while. Yes, so Nurk is back from his suspension from the fight. He came back from his suspension, played a couple game, or did not even get to suit up after his suspension. After his suspension, he was relegated to the bench. And once he came back, he played 2 games on the bench. And then after those 2 bench games, he that was then relegated to do DNP. The Suns then ended up winning 2 of those games where Nurkic was a DNP. And then after the Suns went on that little bit of a win streak, Yusuf Nurkic then before traveling with the team comes down with an illness, which has been a league-wide kind of flu-like type illness. We have seen multiple teams across the association been dealing with this, and Nurkic unfortunately got hit with that little bug, and that's why he's staying in Phoenix at the very moment while this Suns team is traveling around. Nurkic is even with the team, and when Nurkic was with the team last, for a majority of the time, he was spending it on the bike, which is sad. But unfortunately for Yusuf Nurkic, there's no role for him on this team. There's no place for him to really play. As a backup, as a starter, as a backup, he could be very solid, but I don't know. Bull to the Spurs for Sissoko, and Bull and Wemby can destroy the NBA. It works on a trade machine. Okay, I mean, I'm not faulting that at all. What is City to Sissoko's numbers? I'm not a Spurs fan, and I know the Spurs and the Suns have some bad blood through the years. So would a Spurs and Suns deal get done? I don't know. Sissoko is a rookie this year, right? He's been playing with the G League, G League Ignite. Oh no, he was the Spurs second round pick in the 2023 draft. Excuse me. Excuse me. So he's played 2 seasons in the NBA. Let's look at Sissoko's stats. Must Sissoko take this down. Sissoko's stats: 12 games. This year he's played 13 games, 3 minutes. Eh, project for a project, I'll take it. But I don't know if the Spurs are going to give him up just because he's French and he plays with Wemby. But I do see your vision, Big Merc, and I won't lie. I think I support the vision. I support the vision. Just give Bull to somebody that's going to use him, man. I feel like OKC will win the playoffs and SGA will be MVP this year. Yeah, that's what a lot of people think. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think that the Oklahoma City Thunder are the front. They've been the front runner since the beginning of the season to make it out of the West, and I still think that they are the front runner to make it out the West at this very moment. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and that team have been playing fantastic. Alex Caruso, even if he hasn't been as much as an immediate impact as many people would like him to be, he has been effective on the defensive side. Isaiah Hartenstein, when he came back from injury, he was a big plug and play guy. Jalen, both Jalen Williams have been effective for the team. And now they obviously have no Chet Holmgren, but when he comes back, they're just going to even better defensively. OKC is definitely one of the scarier teams in the West, and they're going to continue to be that scary team out West as well, which ultimately as well kind of brings another question up with this Suns team, which is if they can get a Butler deal, what do you do? Because if if they don't get a Butler, right? Say for example they don't, and they look to try to make some more moves on the market, and depending on what happens, they get some stuff or they don't. If they fail to make the playoffs or fail to make a big run in the playoffs, what is a player like Durant going to, how is a player like Durant going to feel? How is he going to take this when he's looking for an extension? Is he going to still want to team up with Book? Is he still going to want to stay? Is he still going to try to force a trade for Butler or force for another star to try to get rid of Beal? Or is he eventually going to force his way out? And I think that those are all questions that obviously come to us in the off season, but things that obviously to keep an eye on as a Suns team, as a fan, and to just always keep in the back of your mind, ladies and gentlemen, because I truly think that for Kevin Durant and for this team to stick together, they need, even if a Butler deal, like Big Merc is saying, he doesn't see a Butler deal coming to fruition, even if a Butler deal comes together or not, I still think that this team needs to make some more moves around the edges. J Dub has been going off. Bull's smile is very heartwarming. I feel her for him because he lost his father. Manute was a badass dude. Yeah, Manute was an absolute beast. I obviously didn't wasn't alive to watch Manute Bull play, but I've seen the highlights, I've seen the clips and stuff like that, and yeah, he was definitely a beast, and that's why I feel for Bull. Coming out of high school, coming out of college, he was this hyped up talent, was projected to be so great, and he's just been moved from team to team to team to team with no real opportunity. And then he fell to Phoenix, and Phoenix kind of gave him that opportunity, kind of gave him a home, but he hasn't been able to find it this year, and it's been very tough for fans, including myself, who want to see a player like Bull really, really succeed. But like I said, this Suns team gearing up for the game versus the Washington Wizards. Tip off is almost underway for everyone as well. Tip off starts at 7. So I will be ending this stream just a little bit earlier just so that you guys can make sure to catch the game and get everything like that. But thank you guys so much for popping into the weekly stream this week where we broke down everything regarding around this Suns team, looking back at the trade that they made with Nick Richards, what could it bring for this team, looking at it for the future, looking at the Washington Wizards tonight, and also looking back at why they needed to make the move as well. Like I said, you guys have been absolutely fantastic in showing your love and support for the channel. We recently have gotten a huge surge on Suns Digest. A couple months ago, we obviously were making videos, hanging in there. We've been doing this for a little, almost a year, if not a year at this point now. But we just started to get back in that hype train. We just started to get back into those Suns algorithms, all due to you guys for showing your love, your support, hitting the like, dropping your comments, letting us know how you ultimately feel about this Phoenix Suns team. And I can't appreciate you guys more for doing that. So I want to give you guys the shout out. Like I said, tonight, you guys popped out. We had around 40 people in the stream tonight, mostly 30, 40 people, almost got to 20 likes once again. And it was just a fantastic showing with everyone here tonight. Once again, just having you guys being here was a great sight to see. Getting some interactions with everybody like Big Merc, Phoenix Suns fan, obviously talking to my guy Yes as well, King Paw too. You guys were absolutely great in the chat tonight. Valley Boys, Mello, everybody. Thank you, Dagoon. Thank you guys so much for coming through to the stream and hanging out with us once again. Like I said, we're going to be doing these streams once a week, Thursdays, every single time, unless I have something planned to where I cannot get on stream. I'm letting you guys know we will be live every Thursday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, to break down and go over the Phoenix Suns. This one was a little bit more trade focused as we were talking about some of the trades, but obviously in the future there are going to be more just breaking down the team, looking at some more issues, and going over that type of stuff. But if you want to make sure you stay up to date on everything with this squad, make sure to hit the like, make sure to hit the subscribe button, as that's what keeps you up to date on the Suns via here on YouTube. But if you do enjoy the content that I bring out, and if you do enjoy me as a host, I also produce Suns content at other outlets as well, for Last Word on Sports and for Bright Side of the Sun. So if you guys want to get some articles, like to read some Suns news as well, and possibly get some more information that isn't presented here on the videos, that is a place to check me out. But if you guys don't, obviously you just prefer the videos, no worries, no hard feelings. I do appreciate all your guys' support once again, as you guys are what keeps this going and what makes the engine run and be fantastic. Like I said, we will be live once again next Thursday, maybe with a guest and possibly some new faces as well coming on to Suns Digest to come and join on with me. So I'll keep you guys updated, and I'll see you guys in the future. Don't forget, we will have a post game coming out following the Suns versus Wizards to break down either the really high game or the really low game. But like I said, you guys have been the greatest, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a great rest of your day, and go Phoenix Suns.